So obviously, trading deadline has come and gone, and I just thought, to start, just a little reflection on what we were trying to accomplish. First off, we went into this trying to be eyes wide open, understanding that there was lots of things that could possibly happen. Many of you write about it or talk about it, and then there was the strategy of really trying to understand if we could get innings, specifically starting pitching. We felt like that would be the best possible outcome for us. We explored a lot of different things, and there's no reason for me to sort of touch on every single one of those things. I don't think people want to hear what we were potentially close to or what we explored, but it was a really busy few days for us. But ultimately, we do feel good about the pitching we did acquire, and to also touch on, we were looking and exploring different things on the catching front as well that never materialized, and ultimately we ended up where we did. But look, where we were from middle of last week to where we are today, we feel pretty good about it. But when you acquire something, it costs you something, and it was it's tough when you have to give up somebody like Harrison Bader. But we felt like with the emergence of what you're seeing out of Dylan Carlson and really just trying to find more at-bats for players, we felt like that was a position of strength for us to try to fill a position that was weak for us on the pitching front. And so, I'm sure there's going to be people that disagree with the strategy, but I hope people understand that we felt like we were filling something that would be in our best interest. And so hopefully we accomplished that. Obviously, there's still some things we're going to have to reshuffle with our roster, but we're going to let today come and go, and then we'll sort of reassess.
You said that people don't want to hear about how close. There is one that a lot of fans want to know how close you were. Where did you get with? So
it's not for me to determine how close, right? Is it something that we looked into? Yes. Is it something that we obviously didn't get done? Yes.
How far did that push you past your comfort?
Given, to me, that's a tough question, because whatever I answer is just going to probably get me beat up anyway. We went in with certain goals, and we felt like we achieved them.
In a best-case scenario with Quintana and Montgomery, how do they slot in, and what do you get out of them?
Well, as you know, we really just felt like we were getting inconsistency out of our rotation. But in both guys' cases, we feel like they're going to be solid contributors to our rotation. And you look at how they've been performing and what they've been able to do, it's exactly what we needed. And the one thing about Montgomery, bear in mind, is it's not just for the next 2 months. We do have him for next year as well. So that was important part of the acquisition.
John, what do you like most about Montgomery? What with his stuff, his makeup? What do you know about him?
First off, I know he's a really good guy, and from that standpoint, I think he'll fit in great in our clubhouse. I think, speaking with him, I would imagine, he was a bit stunned about, finding out he was being traded, just as Harrison was. I think that, for us, it's about a guy that can move the ball, spin the ball, get ground balls. We just feel like both Quintana and him fit perfectly for what we're trying to accomplish.
Does this trade show what you believe in Dylan Carlson as your future center fielder for years to come?
A lot's been sort of made out of Dylan over the last couple of days, and I actually met with him when we were in Washington, and I told him, it's very unlikely you're going to get traded. We're not trying to move you. We have a lot of faith in you. We believe in you, and we want you to be a part of the Cardinals.
You described the difficulties that come with trading Harrison. Most through the Cardinal system, it was a fan favorite. How that conversation played out?
All these decisions are always tough because these are human beings, and you get to know them. The conversations are difficult, and I sort of dread it to even have to make it, but reality is, the demands of us trying to improve, to try to make sure that we're competitive in this second half and hopefully take this into a deeper run into October. Sometimes you have to make difficult decisions.
Did you improve your chances of winning a division today, or did you improve your chances of not falling out of the division?
Well, I think we improved our chances of winning the division. I think the inconsistency with our rotation. Obviously we've got 2 months to play. We feel confident that having starters that we can definitely trust take us deeper. It's also going to allow someone to slip back into the bullpen. So we ultimately feel like we are stronger today than we were.
You had to trade Oviedo and Nunez, a hit prospect, a talented hit prospect, that pitcher for a guy you could have signed in the offseason. Do you look back as to how things have gone and you could have been on the front end of this?
That's always hindsight. I mean, you could always do something different in your offseason. But at the time, we felt like we had the depth. I mean, we thought some of our starters were going to pitch. Injuries happen. Part of signing someone is also about opportunity. And at the time, we really didn't have starting inning opportunities for him.
Well, given Harrison's style of play, did his particular injury change the way that you all evaluated him over the last couple of weeks?
Not really. I mean, obviously, anytime somebody has a lower extremity injury, that speed is their asset. That's certainly a concern, but I think he'll be fine. I really do. This was a decision that was something that, as we look at sort of the long view of our team, we felt we'd benefit from it.
Last year when you got Lester and Half, they both made adjustments and they got a lot better here than they have been before they got here. As you evaluated these guys, your staff evaluated these guys, are there adjustments that need to be made?
Not really. We'll be happy if they do just what they were doing. That would be ideal, actually. If they get better, even better. But last year's trades were different than this year's trades.
Well, getting 2 lefties, does that tie in with Matt's injury? And I know you how much does your ballpark play into having lefty starters?
Obviously getting left-hand starting pitching wasn't necessarily what our target was. It was more just that's what was available, that was fitting what we could trade for. But having 2 additional lefties is exciting. And I think in Matt's situation, we haven't ruled out this year yet. I mean, that's not something that we've written the final chapter on. So, ultimately we'll just see how things shake out for him. But as we know, the more the merrier in this case.
The young catcher you just got from Oakland, how much do you know about him? And
really, we knew we were going to lose Romine because of the transaction. So we were basically just looking to make sure we had some protection there.
When you were looking at Quintana and Montgomery, they're both, at least the stat that jumps out to me, is their durability, is their innings pitched, and their ability to take the ball every 5 days. How important was that for you when you were evaluating starting pitching market, that you identified players that had those strengths?
We wanted to mitigate risk of not being able to make that 5th start every guy, right? And so the key for us was we valued what we saw in these guys, and ultimately we didn't go into this thinking somebody like Montgomery would even be available. And so when that happened, we decided to act on it.
How big of a win does the organization feel like it is to maintain most, if not all, of your top prospects?
Well, again, we went into this trade deadline with not knowing what would happen with all that. But obviously maintaining a very rich farm system feels pretty good at the moment.
Mo, do you expect Polanco to just remove some rotation?
I haven't even met with Ollie yet.
What have you learned about your farm system throughout the trade deadline in terms of what
We certainly know what other people like. Yeah. And not that should be a surprise or anything like that, but I mean, it's probably the names you would guess, but clearly guys like Walker, Wynn, Pence, all drew a lot of attention, and there's probably another 7 or 8 that kept coming up a lot as well.
Do you guys feel like you have enough in the outfield right now to continue pushing forward, or is that something where somebody in the minors could potentially be called up to help you there?
I wouldn't rule anything out, but look, we just got through this. I think I'm going to take a deep breath and then reassess where our roster is.
Well, can you describe the pivot when the Soto deal goes down and you guys go, okay, that's off the table, let's go focus on Soto stuff? Was it more of a pivot, or was it more of you guys had all these balls up in the air at one time?
Mostly all balls up in the air. Yeah, it wasn't quote, any type of pivot at this time.
Mo, Mike Rocha said this morning that as far as that there were 2 teams still in on Soto as of this morning. Would you characterize yourself as one of those 2, do you think? Or did you know last night?
I don't think so. I think, no, I wouldn't say that.
So last night you were fairly sure that was not true?
Was it a situation where if you were to get Soto, you would have had to give up Carlson and Jordan Walker?
You know, I think we should clear the air a little bit on Carlson because I heard he's getting beat up on social media for something he has nothing control over. Again, there were so many names that were potentially a part of this. I already just stated that I recently met with him telling him he wasn't going to be traded. So, you know, I don't think we should focus on him because really that was by no means like why we did not get this deal done.
Well, I think what I'm trying to ask, and a lot of the fans and media are curious, is what was the ask from Washington that you said no?
I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously you saw what they got in return, so it was better than we were willing to do.
How do you feel like the expanded playoffs played into this year's deadline? It was your first time seeing what that looked like.
I mean, from where I sit, like the pressures and all that, it felt the same. I mean, like
Sure, I meant the buyer-seller.
no, I mean, I think opportunities. It just seemed like there were more buyers than normal, but I guess on any given year, there's sort of that ebb and flow that I might have been able to say that. So I don't think it changed drastically. At least from where I sit.
How'd you find, I think the word you use is delta. How'd you find the delta of this trade line in the sense of you're involved in talks with one of the best players in the game? That's obviously would have been a franchise-changing move to then where you went to kind of steer the team in more of a consistent direction, like you're talking about these acquisitions. How'd you find the delta of possibilities at this trade deadline?
Obviously large. I mean, you know, you saw what we did versus what we would have had a rumor we would have had to do. And it would have just been, you know, a very different look. And so for us, you know, trying to understand the calculus and how to think through that, you know, I think we were prepared for that, but ultimately it's not the direction we went.
Hey Mo, sorry if you answered this already. I couldn't hear you back here. Do you think you've done everything you can to make this a World Series contending team this season?
Look, getting to the postseason and getting the opportunity to get to the World Series, I don't think anybody's going to claim they built a World Series club today. So to answer your question, you know, if we get hot, we can play with anybody, and hopefully we get hot.
I mean, last year it took a 17-game winning streak. First time in 100 years. That's not what you're counting on.
No, just counting on more consistency and you know, getting players back, I think, is important. So our health, hopefully the additions in these trades, make us a better club.